this is Steve Garcia with 620 Studio, and this is part 6 of our WordPress training series for the page builder theme. This one's going to be focusing specifically on the Blurb module. Basically, a blurb is an eye-catching way of displaying a message, or at least giving someone something to click on, some kind of action. And usually it's some kind of icon or an image along with a title and some content below, just some descriptive content, and usually the link sends you to a different page or a different part of the page, some kind of action to be able to learn some more information. This could be like some of your services or methods of contacting. Either way, they're actually very quick, simple way to be able to just get something along the page that will hopefully earn some engagement and get people to have some little more action on your site. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to build these. As you can see, it's basically just an image, text, like a title, and then some text. And so we're going to go and create one real quick. You can see we're using the same web design page that we were using before. I've created a section, a row, and now we have to be able to enter in a module. Out of the list, you'll go and choose blurb. From blurb, you're going to type some kind of text. It doesn't really, for this, actually, we're going to do something very simple just for now. And I'm going to put some basic text in here, some Greeking, just so that way it's something to fill in. Now you'll see below that we have a link ability. Under the URL, this is going to be whatever page you want it to be. So right now I'm just going to put Google for now, and then you have the ability to be able to open up in the same window or a new tab. So because it's going off-site, I would make it a new tab. So that's those are basic information: title, content, and link. Those are the basics of pretty much the blurb. Now when it comes to giving a little bit of design, you have the ability to add an icon if you would like, or you can upload an image. So for this instance, we're going to go ahead and use an icon just for the sake of time. You do have the ability to be able to upload an image. I would probably recommend doing one that is relatively small. I probably wouldn't go anything larger than 400 by 400 pixels, and probably something that is more eye-catching as opposed to something very content heavy, just because of the fact that it may be a little distracting. So for this purpose, we'll use another one, and I'll go back with the heart icon that I was using before. So here's a little heart, and I'm not going to give it a background, so you have options for background and the admin label. Once I hit save and exit and update, once I refresh this, it's going to use some of the defaults on your site. You can see it was not a red heart, it's actually a blue one based off the defaults of this training site. Also, the text you can see is kind of on the left side. It looks okay. It probably works just fine. However, we're going to kind of clean this up a little bit just to make it a little more presentable. So I go back into the blurb itself, and I go under design. This is where we're going to be making a lot of our changes. Very quickly, you can see that we can actually change the icon color. So I'm going to give this a nice kind of a darker red, so that way it's red heart. I can then change it to if I want it to be a circle icon, or basically just a heart. So a circle icon allows you to be able to have, in this instance, it would be a red circle with a white heart in the middle of it, as opposed to just being a simple heart. We'll show you an example of that as I make a second blurb shortly. Image icon placement, you can either put it to the left or the top. As in this situation where we have it now, with everything floating to the left, it may actually make more sense to have this on the left side. Now it does, kind of make the icon smaller and a little more condensed, but if you're going to have multiples going down a page, that may actually work out well, because of the fact you're able to give at least a little bit of some kind of recognition or something that they can see that's eye-catching with the text to the side of it and not take up too much room. For this situation, we'll go and continue with it being on top. You can use icon font size. So it's a good size right now. I may go ahead and pump that up just a little bit more. So I'm going to go and bring it up to like 110, and it'll make the heart just a little bit bigger. Text color is dark, with it still being on a white background. We're going to go and leave that dark. Text orientation, I'm going to go and turn that to center, so that way it kind of goes right down the middle of the line. I'm not going to give it any text shadow; it's not necessary. And then for the title text, I can add a little bit of this title is actually relatively small. So I'm going to go and bring that up a little bit too. So I'm going to go and bring that up to 30, and we'll see how that looks. I'll leave the text title color the same. Pretty much leave all the settings the same. So I'm going to go and choose Save, Exit, update the page, hit refresh, and you can see now we have a slightly larger heart. It's red. Sample title text and the content is also now centered, so it actually kind of has a nice little flow to it. And as you'll see, if I hover over it, it actually is taking you to google.com if I go and click on that. So you can see it actually takes that. So very quickly we've been able to make kind of an eye-catching little module that is just some information. Now, as we mentioned, there is the ability to be able to have a different orientation with it. One of the things you'll probably notice is that I do have it on a single column, and you can see it doesn't go full length wide, which is fine. Generally with these, I'm probably going to give it a little bit more control on how wide each of the columns are. So I'm going to go and give it a 1/3 by 1/3, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it sit in that third one. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, bring it over so we can start working on our second one, and I'm going to call it sample title text 2. Make the caption a little bit smaller, and we'll leave the link the same as it is. I'm going to go and use a different icon this time, and I'm going to do like the exclamation point here, so that, or exclamation point, so that way it's kind of more of an alert. I'm going to go and change the color, so I'm going to give it kind of a darker yellow, just so that way it's not competing too much and it's not too hard on the eyes. And I'm going to go and I'll leave the circle. I'll go and do it with the circle icon and the circle color. So I need to go and change this to white then. So I have a circle icon color, and then I have a circle color itself, and I'm going to go and make this the yellow. I'm going to leave the circle border off. I don't necessarily need a border on it. I'm going to go ahead and place this to the left of it. So, and I'm going to go and bring this icon font size. I'm going to go and turn it off just to go and let it do it on its own first, just to see how it looks. Once I hit update, and refresh, and now we can see we have a large heart, sample text, then we have a smaller one. You can see it has the circle with it, with the circle in there. Sample title text, is the same size. Everything is a little more condensed down. Now, if I took away, just so you can see a difference, if I take away the circle icon and then turn this back to yellow, update, hit refresh, and now we have a nice little yellow icon with the exclamation part with some text and some description text below that. So you can see the link still works for both of these. You can then quickly, if you wanted to, go and make a bunch of these, just so that way you can kind of go down the line. You imagine being able to edit several different blurbs, and they would line up next to each other with each one of them below there. Now, one thing you'll see that when you first bring up the blurb is it has a little bit of an animation there. You can adjust this a little bit. It doesn't really change too much. However, it does give you some options of how the blurb will be brought into the page. So if you go all the way to the bottom of the design panel, you'll see that there's animation styles. Right now it's set to none, meaning it's going to do the blurb default. If I go and give this we'll use zoom just for the sake of seeing how it looks. If I change update, you'll see the whole thing actually zooms in as opposed to just the single image that was happening before. So you have the ability to be able to override the default. Let me do it one more time. You have the ability to be able to override the default animation, but just changing this from a fade in with a slow drop, you can't really change the individual icon animation. However, you can change everything. Let me do it one more time. You see now it comes in with a full zoom. So you do have some abilities and some flexibility in regards to how the animation does. I mean, usually some kind of motion does demand a little bit of attention, which is good, which is kind of what you want for blurbs. So you can kind of play with those as you want. I probably would not go overboard. Some of them can be a little bit distracting and probably more of an annoyance than anything else. Let's take a look at the let's look at the roll, for instance. I don't see that this is going to, I don't know how often this would be useful, but you can at least see kind of how it would look, and yeah, that's a little bit too much. So something subtle is always nice, but I probably wouldn't go a little bit overboard. Usually fades and maybe slow zooms in, or anything dropping to the left or right is always a good option. So again, as always, if you have any questions, you can always contact us at support@620studio.com, and we can try to answer as much as you can. So hopefully you have fun playing with blurbs. Thanks.